This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet, a slim front pocket wallet available in carbon fiber and titanium. With more than 250,000 sold, a lifetime guarantee and free shipping, get 10% off with the code GOLDFISH at ridgewallet.com. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Tuesday means it's Type 2 or Standard Tuesday, and we have not only a pretty sweet tribal deck, but an incredibly cheap tribal deck. This is Goblins for Standard, taken to a 5-0 finish from Kalush on Magic Online, so congrats to Kalush on a really sweet deck, and as you can see, $77 in paper, 5 ticks. That's like a booster, well, 2 boosters, whatever. It is essentially free on Magic Online, and it has a 5-0 finish, so super cheap, super sweet tribal deck to talk about today. A quick reminder before we break down Goblins for Standard. If you enjoy this deck and you'll want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Goblins, or any tribal deck, one of the questions we gotta ask, especially in Standard, is why? Why would you play a deck overflowing with only Goblins when you could just play generic red stuff? And there's a few different reasons. So reason number one, and this one kind of goes for any tribe in Standard, I guess, is Vanquishers Banner. An extremely powerful tribal card, 5-mana artifact, pumps all the creatures of a type of your choosing, and when you cast a creature of that type, you get to draw a card. So we play this, we put it on Goblins, it grows all of our Goblins into bigger threats, and generates an absurd amount of card advantage. Also, important to note, unlike some artifacts we have in our current Standard, like the Immortal Sun, Vanquisher's Banner is not legendary, so you can stack up 2 of these, 3 of these, 4 of these on the battlefield, making all your Goblins just massive and drawing through your entire deck at lightning speed. So Vanquisher's Banner is reason number 1 to be tribal. As far as Goblins themselves, one of the things that Goblins do really well is kind of ramp you in non-traditional ways. Goblin Warchief, kind of the hallmark card of the Goblin Ramp, makes all of our Goblins 1 less to cast and gives them all haste. This leads to some incredibly explosive turns, especially with Vanquisher's Banner, where we're able to cast all of our Goblins really cheaply. They're drawing us more cards, they're coming down with haste, so we're able to attack with them right away, so we just play through a massive chunk of our deck really quickly. Combine that with Skirk Prospector, and we can do even crazier things when we have the Vanquisher's Banner out. We have Goblins that are 2 mana and put 2 Goblins on the battlefield, with Skirk Prospector sacrificing them, and Vanquisher's Banner making those Goblins cheaper. We're actually kind of generating mana, turning our Goblin Instigators into rituals. But basically, Skirk Prospector lets us cash in relatively underpowered Goblins for more mana, giving us this kind of combo feel once we get our Vanquisher's Banners down. Wrapping up our reason to play Goblins, we have Veteran Valor, which is just a solid removal spell on a 4/2 Goblin body. When it enters the battlefield, damage to a creature an opponent controls equal to the number of Goblins you control. So if we have 3 or 4 or 5 Goblins on the battlefield, we just shoot down basically any creature our opponent could have. And remember, this is not fighting. There's no fight mechanic, so we can shoot down a Baneslayer Angel or whatever and still keep our Veteran Valor, and our opponent doesn't even gain life. And then we have Siege Gang Commander, which is our biggest payoff. Lets us pay 2 to sacrifice a Goblin to deal 2 damage to anything, so we can throw our random 1/1 Goblins at our opponent's creatures, mow down their board for a big attack, or just throw them at our opponent's face. Plus, when it enters the battlefield, we get 3 1/1 Goblins, so it's kind of this army in a can. And if you think about Vanquisher's Banner, having 1 or 2 of those out, our 1/1 Goblins are going to be 2/2s or 3/3s, which makes Siege Gang Commander even more insane. Rounding out our Goblins, we just have some curve filler stuff. Fanatical Firebrand, good 1-drop, can shoot down early game creatures, especially in aggro mirrors, so just a reasonable 1-drop Goblin. In the 2-drop slot, we have Goblin Instigator and Wily Goblin. So Wily Goblin, more ramp, giving us a treasure when it enters the battlefield. Goblin Instigator, that was the card we were talking about earlier with Skirk Prospector. If we can have down a Vanquisher's Banner and make that cost 1 mana, and a Skirk Prospector for sacrificing, we're basically casting Goblin Instigator for 1 mana, and then we can sack Goblin goblins for 2 mana, so it's actually like a ritual that ramps us into our bigger, more powerful goblins. Finally, the most powerful curve slot for goblins is a 3-drop slot, where we get Goblin Chainwhirler, which is still a very powerful card. It kills a reasonable amount of stuff, throws some damage at the opponent's face, and leaves behind a 3/3 first strike body. And then Legion's War Boss is a goblin that makes even more goblins, and again, with the pumping power of things like Vanquishers Banner, those hasty 1/1s are going to be 2/2s or 3/3s, so another really powerful threat in the 3-drop slot. Mana base wise, 23 mountains, about as simple as it gets. As far as the sideboard, it's mostly about customizing our removal. You probably noticed we're basically removal free in our main deck, apart from some goblins that act like removal. So Shivan Fire, Lightning Strike for early game creatures and aggro matchups, Lava Coil, good at exiling like Rekindling Phoenix, recursive threats, Fight with Fire takes out bigger things like Baneslayer. Also, if we could sack our board of goblins to Skirk Prospector, it is possible we can kick it for 10 damage. And then speaking of sacrificing our board of goblins, Banefire gives us a way that we can chip in some goblin damage in the early game, and then eventually just sack all of our team to Skirk Prospector, make like 10 or 15 mana, and just Banefire our opponent uncounterably for lethal. Otherwise, Experimental Frenzy keeps us churning through our deck. Vance's Blasting Cannon, kind of the same thing. And that is Goblins. Super cheap budget goblins for Guilds of Ravnica Standard, and that's been our instant deck tech for today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.